So let's look at Bitcoin, right? So you have your trading buddy on, you have your Starch, RSI.
Yeah.
These are the main indicators. That's all that I pretty much use for trading.
Mm-hmm.
So first I start, let's look at Bitcoin. So that'll be easier. So first I start with a weekly chart. I
Yeah.
make sure right click, that it's not like zoomed in. So right click, reset chart view, everything is clear. So first I always want to start marking out my support and resistance levels. That's before I even start any sort of trade. So I mentioned this in the past. I always start at the weekly chart. So what I'm doing is just to go back to how to mark out your lines. I take the maximum number of touches. Like it's all about finding the peaks and the valleys. So for example, like I'm seeing this could be so first I look at where price is, where the current candle is, and then I
Yeah.
want to mark out, maybe a few lines above, a few lines below. So
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 you chose
I
that
see
one
this
because
as resistance.
it's like where the recent pump
Yeah,
stopped,
top.
and also it looks like previously it bounced there on the double top
Hmm.
kind of pattern, and it has.
Hmm.
So do you look that far back, or are you looking mostly just at the last like couple months? Or are you looking at like the whole picture right now to see? I'm curious.
Well, I guess all you want is you look back uh, till how do I say this? Like there's no point looking back before this, just because like you take the section
Mm-hmm.
uh, of the chart where where it informs your line based off your current candle. For example, like if it was somewhere here,
Yeah.
right? Like say this was back in time, then you wouldn't have to go back because there are no candles around here. You
Yeah.
know, give me that piece of information. Like if this was a current candle, then there's nothing it's just air above.
Yeah.
So you need to go back to a point where you can see a peak or a value.
All right.
So as
This
long
first
as
one you drew, I'm on board. I would That's the where I would put my line too, just based on like it looks like it bounced there when it was pulling back, and then it looks like it was
right,
rejected there
and
on the
I
weekly
take
now.
exactly. So you take you make sure you get the most number of touches, and that's how you kind of draw it. So
Yeah.
that's resistance above. Then let's look at support below. So I would just do this, because see here I see a wick here, right? Take
Yeah.
that wick, and then I see a peak here, peak, wick, peak, and that's where I would put support below.
All right.
So most number of touches, um, you know,
Gotcha.
and then let's do
What
And
about the last 5 weeks worth of touches
like these
down?
guys.
No, over to the right, all the way to the right. So you got current.
Uh-huh.
Let's go up
So
six. Like the first, with the 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it wicks down, but you don't really look at those as being significant.
no, because so first you want to take the solid peak, right? That
Solid peak. Okay.
yeah,
no wicks.
that
Gotcha.
gives it more weightage, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then so you look at that first, and then to kind of refine it, you also then you want to take other sort of wicks to support that. So think
So
of it as
all the
the
way to the
floor and
left,
ceiling.
though. So all the
Yeah,
way to the
that's
left, where it blew past what your line is.
Mm-hmm.
That
here.
really, yeah, that spot. That
Yeah.
is what you're looking at as basically your first
Oh, so,
major part of
uh,
that line, I guess. First
yeah,
indicator.
but first I start here, right? Like this is
Yeah.
important just because these peaks are solid. but then when the chart is like framed, I also did see this too. So I was like, oh, this kind of lines up with the same solid
Yeah.
ground. So that's why it all lines up,
Yeah, so that's a
and
pretty.
that's why I tried.
So then that would be like your pretty decent conviction on that being a decent support range right now. Looking for a bounce there.
Exactly. And
Okay.
then to get there, I
Like,
would probably get one below. So here, let's see.
and now you're looking
Maybe,
kind of where your cursor is, right? Like more
yeah.
recently the candles. Okay.
So here, like you guys can see, like here, this is another like solid, and here we got like a valley. So we got that, and then we got like a lot of solid ground here, and then this sort of wick here too. And then so say you got like you know two supports below, you can keep drawing it till like the last one, right? Uh, for example, I mean, you know what? Let's just do one below the band too. So
Yeah.
uh, maybe so here, like I would also see this guy, or maybe this wick. Yeah. So this wick, this is all solid ground. This one and this one. So say we marked out a few supports
Yeah.
and
Are you
resistance
giving
above.
more weight to the like section where it bounced versus where it like slowly dipped below now in that like yeah, if you're
Like
looking
this wick.
like before you see that
I,
like little U valley that happened like right before that it looks like you got a couple weeks that are closing below where you've just marked support now. Does
oh,
that
like these?
a little bit further left?
Oh,
There.
these
Yeah,
guys?
those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually gave more weight to this because it's solid. And then I just lined it up with this wick because like I just think
Oh, with the
see
wick.
this
Okay.
yeah, so wick, all this is solid, and then it's solid here too.
Oh yeah, on the far end that looks like right before it actually took off
Yeah.
in like kind of more of an aggressive way. All right.
So you see, so all I'm trying to do is like I'm trying to get as many taps as possible.
Yeah.
Like it needs to line up, right?
Right.
Um
And then you zoom in from the week to the
yeah,
day,
so
right?
so then the next step, what I do is like I change it to the daily chart, and then I check the same lines. So now the daily chart, I just use it to like maybe refine. It's all good. Tap tap tap. That's
Mm-hmm.
good. Good. It lines up. This one.
Before you move one, don't move it. Tell us why you're moving it.
Okay. Um, I'm just trying to see if I need to move it. So the first one is. Uh, I think maybe. Yeah. Maybe this guy can be moved down a little bit just because like there's more. There's a little bit of an air pocket here,
Mm-hmm.
which would like if I move this line down, it would line up better. Just because like then it would touch these wicks.
Oh, I see the
Plus
far ones. Yeah, on the
plus
left.
it would be actually on the valley of this. See. So if let me undo this. I know it's slight, but see there's an air pocket here. It's kind of this is not exactly lining up to the base.
Uh huh.
So I would just like move it down a tad, and then it would catch, say, these wicks. It would be at the bottom here, and then it would also catch like some of these wicks. It's just like refining the same line. And then this looks fine to me. So it's like you move it to a place where you can catch as many of those like hits. You know,
Gotcha.
if that makes sense. So yeah, so say now I have, and let's look at resistance because this line here. Yeah, that seems fine. So say now we got the same. We didn't really make any new lines. It's the same lines. We just like to find it on the daily chart.
Yeah.
And it, feel free to ask me any questions or like stop me. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Like, if you have any questions. So now, at least for the style of trading that we do, like major like swing trading, I I usually just start with the weekly. We want to start with like higher time frames and then like sort of like use the lower time frames to refine um you know your the information that, or at least what your bias is on the higher time frame charts. you know Basically, if the same sort of bias lines up on all time frames, then like the probability of your trade going the way you want it is higher. That's all there is to it. So it's like,
Yeah. Let's.
so say like the
Okay.
weekly, say like say like weekly, right? Like, okay, the buddy, we had, we don't have a bear print yet, but then we hit resistance, and we're clearly like turning south because like the stock is also in a downtrend. It didn't go past
I mean,
uh, resistance. Sorry.
I got a question. So all these weeklies are not touching your second from the top. So these weeklies,
Mm-hmm.
current ones, like they're wicking
These
to a
guys.
point. Yeah, they're wicking to a point, but they're not coming down to the line that you feel is the point.
Exactly.
Like,
So
like isn't
therefore,
that significant? I guess, or you're not
yeah,
looking at that.
yeah. No, you're right, because like, if so, here's how I trade, right? Like, what you're doing is you're basically marking out your levels, and you're trading at level to level. So you're just looking at where the current candle is, whatever time frame it is, whether it's a weekly, daily, whatever. If it's hanging in between two levels, like two lines, you know that most likely like price is gonna try to like hit the bottom, because like it's in a downtrend and it's not hit support yet. So if it's an uptrend, and if price was around here, like say in the middle, then you would play the uptrend to the next resistance line. So if price like kind of hangs in the middle of two lines, you see what the trend is, and then you're playing it to the next level down or up.
Yeah. So the way I'm looking at this chart, I would be looking right now on the weekly. I think, obviously the weekly trend is bull, but the like last few weeks are showing us trending to this support that you've drawn out now. So what I'm expecting to see is for us to at least wick down at some point and touch that support before turning it into, support and bouncing up, or before failing
Or we lose
and
it.
we lose and we start to drop
Exactly.
lower. But either way, from where we are right now versus where the support line is, I'm looking for opportunities to maybe capitalize on the volatility short in the short term at the moment still. And that's for
Exactly.
short term swings, like 1 or 2 days, maybe 3-day positions. Not like right now still on the weekly, I would say maybe place limit orders along the support level and enter like for a longer term play, maybe look for a entry price there versus a short sell,
Yeah.
because it
Maybe
definitely,
here, maybe like
yeah,
maybe
especially
around
between those,
here,
yeah, like
where the
where the strength band is.
strength band.
If we bounce there, then I feel like we can move much like higher still. But if we don't bounce there, we can absolutely get a new low, or at the very least retest the previous low around like 16,000 in Bitcoin.
Yeah. Like here's another.
Yeah, like way down there. Okay, it's like 17,000.
So somewhere around. But yeah,
Still not a lot of room though.
so price, yeah, but so price is trending down. At least that's what I'm seeing.
Mhm.
And then so I move it. I changed the daily chart.
Yeah.
And daily chart though, like we had a bear print with a red band.
That one that hooked me
a
up.
while
Like
ago.
that's why I was short before all this crap happened. So that really worked out for me.
Yeah, before the SEC, like it didn't really matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we had topped out, and so when I saw the buddy give us a bear signal, I started scaling into a short position. That's what I did.
Yeah.
You know, always scale in, scale out. That's the name of the game. So you start building a short position around here, and then of course, see, like because the Stotch RSI was like oversold, we had a retest. You know, and price can be bear, but it can always have retest. All it's trying to do is like, see, it's trying to like retest this resistance around here.
Yeah, that's the strength band really
It's
works
like,
well for too, where it's like if
you
it's
know, here or
retesting and we
here.
close below the strength band, that's definitely
Mhm.
boosting my conviction on the short then.
Yeah, so if it also gets rejected at resistance and the strength band, and then of course we got it turned red, which again, like, you know, it definitely showed that like we're getting into a bearish trend. So you can start adding to your short position. Uh, you know, when you start seeing this rejection, and also like, you know, you're making like, for me it's also like making lower highs and lower lows, which
Yeah.
like that's what a downtrend is. You know, price keeps getting rejected, resistance drops, again gets rejected.
Yeah.
But also the band is kind of like also holding as resistance, as we can see. So you start scaling in here and start building a short position. Um, you know, high leverage positions, you don't have much room, so you don't have the luxury of like sort of
Yeah, scaling forever.
building your position. Yeah, scaling a lot. So these, like, I do like bigger positions with lower leverage, and then the stuff that you guys are seeing, like my leverage ones, those are like, you know, shorter time frame charts, like the hourly, or sometimes I use a 15-minute too. Um,
So you
but yeah,
still are
say
you still
with
you're still looking at the same like support and resistance levels that you drew out at 1 week and 1 day, and then you zoom in on the like 15-minute or something just to like see is now the moment to like open this position or not, or let's try that. Go like to the more
so
tight time frames. Let's see if we can take a position.
yeah. So for swing trading, like I know like a lot of traders, they have like different time frames. I've seen some like really weird ones. Like I've seen them using
Yeah.
like, you know, some people use like 7 hour, 8 hours. I'm like, why are you doing that? So this for swing trading, I usually use like weekly, daily, and then I go to 4 hour. And
Yeah.
then so what I'm doing is like changing the chart to 4 hour and seeing, you know, you
For
can use a 4 hour to make the lines like a little more precise, you know. Maybe like instead of this, maybe like bring him down here a little bit.
so it hits like the
Uh,
the
yeah,
actual like body of the candle, not just the wick.
exactly.
Gotcha.
So 4 hour here, it seems okay. This guy
Yeah, that
seems
one looks like
okay.
it's pretty spot on for that second bounce too on the way up.
Yeah. So here, like here, you can refine it because see, I see a peak here, but then those will also line up with these roots.
So you slide it
So
up a little
pull
bit, you
him
think?
up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. And then here, sometimes you just have to keep like zooming in and out, like especially like 4 hour. Let's see, this is kind of like, oh,
That one looks like
okay.
no, that one's actually not
Yeah.
bad considering the first one.
Alright.
All right, now let's look close to the
Maybe
end of
it's,
the spot. I'm
like,
curious now. So the 4 hour was bearish. It looks like the SRSI has plenty of room
reset.
down. So far, I'm still open to taking a position short.
Yeah, exactly. So in between, like you can have like retest, right,
Yeah,
along the way. But say like uh that's a long way down.
yeah.
So so it looks like, yeah, we got bear like you said, and the SRSI is like it still got room to like go down.
So I like that it pushed
Yeah.
above the strength band and it was rejected and is pushing below, the band staying red. So I would say that like wick, the top of that wick where it pushed above that wick is where I'm eyeing a stop loss for a short sell, like a little bit above
So
that.
exactly. So if you're putting a stop, if you're setting stops, like what you do is like wherever the wick is, you give a little more like room.
Yeah.
Like so, basically, you mark out your like resistance line,
Yep.
which will be like around so, because I'm taking this guy, taking all these guys, and then say these wicks, and then so like you would leave a little more room.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the daily?
Mm-hmm.
And so go back to the left where, so we saw a bear right there, that red, red dip on the left side a little bit more, or in the middle.
Yeah.
Not that bear, but all of
Oh,
them.
the little fake out there. Yeah.
So that faked us out.
Yeah.
You would have got creamed if you would have stayed in your position because bull hit way above your bear mark, correct? How would you have played that, or did you even play that? Do you remember?
So that one,
this is a scenario that I'm like, this is a scenario for me, which I would get creamed, I think, because I don't know, how do you not get screwed over on this part?
So that's where like stop losses come in.
Buddy is showing, like, there's a lot of places Buddy is showing, and the trend just stays that direction. But I've always had the question for you guys, and I never really could write it out that nicely. But this to me seems like a good way for me to lose something.
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because like sometimes you have fake outs, right? So this is where stop losses are very helpful. So say you shorted here, you would just set a stop to either like break even, or like even if you're taking a wick, you wouldn't really, it would just be like a wash trade, so you would, if you set a stop loss, you wouldn't really like be losing money.
Yeah, generally the way that I trade this one is this is the daily chart, right? The daily chart, the daily candle closed and the bear print stuck there. So that is now going to be like, okay, I'm going to open a short. So I'm opening a short kind of where the next candle starts. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to catch it on that same mark, right? So I would have opened a short at the top of that candle, and I did write it. It would have written it down from there to like the bottom of that peak. At that point, I would set my stop pretty much at either a wash or even a little bit in profit at this point, just to be like, oh, cool, I'm in profit. Great. If I get stopped out of profit, I'll open up short again if it does retest up. But yeah, like Sid's saying, the stop loss is always where I'm.
So you move your stop.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I would do that. But now let's move over to the next bear. Like move all the way over to where you were showing us before. Yeah. Now that's bear there, and it goes down. Let's say you set your stop. The next candle. Let's say it goes. So now you set your stop there, right where he's got the right at that top point.
Here.
But now it moves up.
Yeah.
But you're still bear. Now you're like, how are you thinking about it when it's moving up above the bear marker that day? So now it marked bear. It was down. I don't know. I can't tell what the numbers were, but it's moved up. Now you set a stop loss. You got stopped out. Are you chasing anything? Or what are you waiting for now?
Go on.
So the other thing I'd like to look for is like the print and the band sort of match up to give me like extra conviction. So that's why I don't take a full size position here. That's why I start scaling it. So even if I get stopped out here, like it's, anyway, my stops is like at break even, and it's a smaller size position. So I'm not really like losing anything.
Yeah, I actually did play.
Like
I actually did get stopped out. I got stopped. I lost.
When did you open again?
I opened. Look, you see, Sid. I'll tell you where to put your cursor. It's the candle right after the bear. literally the bottom of that candle, because I opened the next day at like the open, like right, that's where I shorted, and then I got stopped out at basically the top of the candle and ended up taking like a 1.8% or something like loss on this, and then I reopened the short. What is it, like when we were rejected at the green band, because I got stopped out, we moved up, we didn't close and flip the band, and then I started scaling back in a little bit below the price you're looking at now. If you go a little lower, kind of a little higher than that still, actually. Yeah, like around there. Once we got full days closing below that strength band and starting to move down again, I was like, okay, we're still bear. Like I kind of jumped in too early, got stopped out, I opened up again, and then I shorted, and then once the band flipped, I added more. Once we added to red, I added more short, and then actually I think I got stopped in profit recently there on that pump, so I haven't been holding that short for the last week or so. But I opened right when we got this print. I got stopped out at a loss, and then I reopened when I saw it retest the strength band and not flip the print back to bull, and then I got stopped out. Like I think I ended up getting stopped in profit for like 6% or something. So between both of those trades, I walked away with like 4.8 or something. Wasn't terrible. Some of them obviously, like, I do get stopped at a loss. It's not always a win. I should add some of my flex my losses as well.